Hi, welcome to Talking with Famous People. My name is Zachary. I'm an INTP, and in this video, I want to elucidate some of my thoughts on a video I watched of another INTP, and they gave their thoughts on a certain experience that they tend to run into, which is an ego trap of self-doubt. And it usually would occur after they'd be hanging out in a group or they'd be debating someone, and by the end of it, there wouldn't be a consensus reached. They feel like everything's still kind of up in the air, and it ended. So they feel like they were perhaps rused or some sort of like the other person maybe trying to play them or something. But they ended up thinking that was over intuiting the interaction and whatnot. I just want to give some of my thoughts on the matter because I feel like I experienced it as well. And I want to explain why I think that occurs in INTPs and what I think how I think we can approach it to be more productive toward our own development. The reason I think it happens is because INTPs have TI in their dominant slot. So they constantly operate they seek out information to build a sort of logical structure that they can use to operate in the world with. They refine all experiences through that structure because since introvert thinking it always begins with the subject, ends with the subject, right? So everything runs through that sort of paradigm. And in doing this, we want to refine that structure so it is logically consistent, it is concrete, it's a sort of bulwark against the world. It's a sort of foundation to fall back on when things don't go our way or we're exposed to new information that we don't know how to handle. The reason intellectual self-doubt occurs in major disagreements with other people is because we are trying to it happens because we think that if we've come to a logical conclusion about something, and we perceive it as logical, that if someone else was exposed to that information, if they come to any other conclusion, that they must be operating on some sort of false logic or some sort of illogical mechanism that led them to that. I don't think it's bad that we experience self-doubt after interactions because what does self-doubt do? All it does is make you refine your views. If you argue with someone or you have a major disagreement with a group of people or something like that, no one likes that. No one likes that. And it causes, I think the way we need to approach disagreements and arguments with people is that people rarely change their opinions during an argument or some sort of disagreement. Rarely, if ever, will anyone do that. That's not the important thing. The important thing is to make someone refine their views, question their own views. And INTPs are very reflective. They're constantly running everything through this TI structure that they're building and refining. And so they're constantly going to be re-examining their views. They talk about in the video, the experience of after having like an experience like that they will sort of isolate themselves, or they'll do something comfortable like read a book, or go back to the knowledge that they already have. This is the process. This is the INTP's TI-SI loop. This is introverted thinking in the first slot, and then introverted sensing in the third slot. It is the process we use to refine our structure. It's good to experience disagreements because it helps us in a way, get closer to the truth. Because if you have a major disagreement with someone, you're either going to find out that they were right, or you're going to develop a stronger bulwark against your own views, or a stronger bulwark for your own views because you're going to be aware of more angles that can be attacked. Even though it bothers our FE a lot because we don't like dealing with it. When I was younger, I used to have the problem of if I had a disagreement with someone regarding any sort of like religious views, political views, anything like that, I just didn't want to be around them. And I would just make steps the necessary steps to just remove them from my life. But now I've come to the conclusion that my views are always subject to change and a lot of new information, and it would be more dangerous to put myself in some sort of tunnel vision than it would be to constantly disagree with people. I think the constant disagreement leads us to refine and organize our perceptions of the world in a stronger and more concrete way. The second thing they talked about in the video was over-intuiting interactions. After it would happen, they would overthink what one person might have said. They might think about, or the response to something might come to them afterwards, and they're just like, ah, fuck, like, I should have said that then. That's the kind of thing that's like, I don't know. I think I like being around people who, I don't care as much if they disagree with me, other than I want them to keep things up in the air. I don't like I don't like things being put in their place. If there's a disagreement, I think INTPs are very lost the battle, but the war is still going on type of people, right? They want everything to be up in the air still because they constantly have everything up in the air. The only time if they're not aware of something, if they have some sort of view and they're not constantly thinking about it, it's going to be on the back burner, right? It's not something that they're going to lay on the plate, put it on the table, and go ahead and fix the next thing. Everything is always cooking. Everything's always mixing up. Sometimes things just need to be mixed up just to make sure they're still, good to eat, so to speak. INTPs are definitely they're very lost the battle, win the war type of people, right? It's sort of constantly disagreeing with someone may allow you to identify their underlying framework that they're using to categorize information they perceive, and you can manipulate that to your own advantage. But generally, over-intuiting things, overthinking about the interaction once it happened, I think it's necessary not to view it pejoratively because it can be beneficial. I mean, if you're not worried about how you come off to people, if you're not worried about how you're going to respond to someone in a new scenario afterwards, then what's the point of even interacting with people? I think it's very important to our development to think about our past interactions, our interactions with others, future interactions, in order to best represent ourselves. Because it is important to us, whether INTPs want to admit it or not. We do find it important how we come off to people. And over-intuiting our interactions, whether it be pre-interaction, post-interaction, or in the moment, which is harder to do, but it just shows that we ultimately do care about how we come on to people. We care about our own views. We want our views to be consistent. We want our knowledge base to be something we can rely on. And sometimes that causes us some conflict with others because we would much prefer to have our knowledge foundation consistent and concrete than to keep that kind of obscure and make sure you never get into an argument with someone. That's why, I view disagreements with people as a sort of subsidized influence, where they're sort of helping you out, they're sort of giving their energy to you in order for you to refine your own views to reach a concrete, logical perception of the world. I think that's the healthiest way to approach the situation is to view the things that may bring us discomfort as not always being damaging to us, right? The TIS loop's good for refining our views that we've perceived, or refining information we've perceived into making a concrete view, but it isn't always infallible. It's still subject to bias and lack of information that we need to engage the world through our innate to obtain. So yeah, I guess that would be my response to. One last thing they said, they talked about being critical and skeptical of others' views. That's a good thing. That's a fucking good thing, in my opinion. If someone displays their views, I want to hear their arguments for them. I don't want to just hear, buzzwords or just them sort of conveying what they've heard before, or speaking with terms that they've just heard thrown around or whatever with their views. I want to hear their foundation. I want them, if they bring their views to me, I want to know why exactly they've come to that and what information they've been exposed to lead into that view. And if they present it to me and I deem it logical or worthy, then I will be able to adopt that and in a way get closer to the truth. I think that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching.